Let's get back onto one of our stories of the morning, and that is challenges getting 887 visas approved. Melanie Macfarlane's an immigration expert. Melanie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Leon.
Melanie, are you hearing similar stories to Armin's about the delays in having 887 visas approved?
Yes, I am actually. It was very interesting listening to Armand and all of her comments because they're absolutely true. And the irony is that 887 visa actually doesn't exist anymore in the sense that it's been replaced by a different subclass. And one of my concerns is actually that the new subclass may be overtaking the old subclass in terms of priority. But what we're seeing is great inconsistency within the Department of Home Affairs as to priorities in all areas, and it's becoming very problematic.
And so what advice, if any, would you have for people like Eamon what advice would you have for Eamon and others listening this morning who are in this situation?
Well, I think what we're doing right now is it's absolutely important, which is highlighting this issue on the air, because there is a migration review taking place at the moment. And so the Minister Andrew Giles needs to really be taking note of this. I know that immigration has been trying to counter and deal with the visa backlogs that the current government inherited. But the issue is that we're just seeing decisions chopping and changing in terms of 1 minute you've got permanent resident visas being prioritised from overseas. Then you've got temporary employer-sponsored visas suddenly being prioritised on top of the permanent resident visas, even though there's far more places. There's now 195,000 places rather than 160,000 this year, and immigration will have to work very hard to fill that quota by June of this year, which is the end of the budget year for immigration. So, and then suddenly teachers and healthcare workers are prioritised. And is that for short-term visas? Is it for long-term visas? And regional visas are supposed to be processed first, but then sometimes we're seeing visas being picked up by case officers to be finalised, and then they just suddenly sit there for a few more weeks or months. So there's a lot of...
And so what does that mean as the priorities change? We all of a sudden, we need more tradies, or we need more skilled workers, or it's about temporary people to come in and help behind bars and fruit picking and so on.
Yes.
As these priorities shift and change, what happens? Do the limited number of staff at immigration then just change their priorities and start working on a new pile?
That's what happens. And I think that's what happens. Sometimes something that's being worked on gets put to one side, and then they need to work on something else instead. Somebody new comes in on the case. Excuse me, I'm at the airport. You can hear an announcement about to go to my office in Colombia. But then, a case gets put to one side, a new case officer comes along, has to keep up and see what's going on. So with this myriad of priorities that's taking place, there needs to be some much more clear consistency, some priorities, firm priorities put in place, and they just need to stick to them. And if this government now wants more permanent residents than temporary visa holders, well, then start granting those permanent visas, including the 887, because they are legacy cases and they need to be granted on top of everybody else's.
I really appreciate you talking to us this morning. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you, Leon.
Melanie Macfarlane, immigration expert. About to head to Colombia to our office there on Mornings Around Tasmania.